something that I really want to get super into. But I did actually end up losing that job. I worked there for 6 weeks, and that was pretty much my like 6-week break from YouTube. But things didn't really work out there, and I was let go from that job. Unfortunately, I don't believe that it was anything that I did. I think that I kind of took the blame for someone else's mistake and was let go because of that. And yeah, so it was just super unfortunate. And if you guys want to hear another video about what exactly happened, you know, I'm obviously not going to go into like super detail, but if that is something you guys want to hear, let me know in the comments down below. So anyway, my channel, if you are new here, this is ASMR Mystery, where I talk about all things relating to mystery and true crime, all in an ASMR format. And if you are not familiar with ASMR, please read the description down below. Also, if you are not currently subscribed to this channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It should be probably up here, down here, I don't really know, but make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you also hit the notifications button so you know when I'm posting videos, and you will be the first person to see my latest true crime videos. I obviously have some more free time to film some videos for you guys, and that is what I'm doing today, and I'm really excited because I think it's a case you guys are gonna like a lot. It's one of my favorite cases to learn about and read about and talk about with fellow true crime lovers. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get into it, and as always, if you have any recommendations for any cases you would like to see here on this channel, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I get referred to a lot of cases, and sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with all of them because they get lost in the comments. However, you can send me a direct message or just tell me in the comments below what cases you would like me to cover. Now, I don't believe that the case that I'm going to be covering today was ever requested by anyone, but I've known for a while that it's a case that I've really wanted to cover, so I will be doing that today. As always, if you do not know what ASMR is, please read the description down below. So today I'm going to be covering the case of Andrea Yates. Andrea Pia Yates was born on July 2nd, 1960. So, Andrea Pia Yates was born on July 2nd, 1964 in Hallsville, Texas. She was the daughter and youngest of the 5 children of Judah Karen Kohler, a German immigrant, and Andrew Emmett Kennedy, whose parents were Irish immigrants. During her teenage years, she suffered a variety of mental disorders, including bulimia and depression, and at about 17 years old, she actually spoke to a friend about committing suicide. And because of this, her family and her friends were very, trying to, talk her out of it and wanted to check up on her and were very concerned for her mental health. So it was pretty much very well known that she had a few mental health related medical issues. So despite this, she seemed to be doing pretty well in her younger years. She had a pretty good high school experience. She was actually class valedictorian. She was captain of the swim team, and she was also an officer in the National Honor Society before graduating from Milby High School in 1982. So after graduating, she pretty much had her sights set in becoming part of the medical world. She completed a 2-year pre-nursing program at the University of Houston and graduated from the University of Texas School of Nursing. From 1986 to 1994, she worked as a registered nurse at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. In the summer of 1989, she would meet her future husband, who she fell head over heels for, and his name was Russell Yates, or Rusty. So they met at their apartment complex where they lived at the Sunscape Apartments in Houston, Texas. They immediately fell in love. It was a very beautiful, healthy relationship, and they soon moved in together and got married on April 17th, 1993. So they were a young and in love couple. Their friends and family kept asking them when they could expect babies, and they had responded that they would, quote, seek to have as many babies as nature allowed. And nature definitely did allow. They had quite a few kids. The couple ended up buying a 4-bedroom house for their expanding family in the city of Friendswood, Texas. So their first child, Noah, was born in February. Shortly after this, Rusty accepted a job offer in Florida, so they relocated to a small trailer in Seminole, Florida. By the time of the birth of their third child, Paul, they moved back to Houston and purchased a GMC motorhome. Following the birth of their fourth child, Luke, Andrea became depressed. On June 16th, 1999, Rusty found her shaking and chewing her fingers. The next day, she attempted to commit suicide by overdosing on pills. She was admitted to the hospital and prescribed antidepressants. Soon after her release, she begged Rusty to let her die as she held a knife to her neck. She was then hospitalized again and given a cocktail of medications, including Haldol, which is an antipsychotic drug. Her condition actually ended up improving immediately, and she was prescribed the drug upon her release. After that, Rusty moved the family to a small house for the sake of her health, and during this time she appeared temporarily stabilized. She was acting pretty normal again, and everything seemed to be going well. So by the year 2000, Rusty and Andrea Yates had 5 children. Their names were Noah Jacob, John Samuel, Paul Abraham, Luke David, and Mary Deborah Yates. Everything pretty much seemed to be going pretty well up until the death of Andrea's father on March 12, 2001. Andrea then stopped taking her medication, mutilated herself, and read the Bible feverishly. She stopped feeding Mary, and she became so incapacitated that she required immediate hospitalization. On April 1st, 2001, she came under the care of Dr. Muhammad Saeed. She was treated and then released. On May 3rd, 2001, she degenerated back to a near catatonic state and filled the bathtub in the middle of the day. She would later confess to police that she had planned to drown the children that day, but had decided against doing it then. She was then hospitalized the next day after a scheduled doctor visit. Her psychiatrist determined she was probably suicidal and had filled the tub to drown herself. So at the time of the murders, the Yates family was living in the Houston suburb of Clear Lake City. She continued under Dr. Saeed's care until June 20th, 2001, when Rusty left for work, leaving her alone to watch the children against Dr. Saeed's instructions to supervise her around the clock. His mother, Dora Yates, had been scheduled by him to arrive an hour later to take over for her. In the space of that hour, she drowned all 5 children. She started with John, Paul, and Luke, and then laid them in her bed. She then drowned Mary, whom she left floating in the tub. Noah came in and asked what was wrong with Mary. He then ran, but she soon caught and drowned him. She left him floating in the tub and laid Mary in John's arms in the bed. She then called the police, repeatedly saying she needed an officer but would not say why. Then she called Rusty, telling him to come home right away. So Andrea, soon convinced to drowning her children, she told her husband and told the authorities. Prior to her second trial, she told Dr. Michael Weiner that she waited for Rusty to leave for work that morning before filling the bathtub because she knew he would have prevented her from harming them. After the murders, police found the family dog locked up. Rusty advised Weiner that it had normally been allowed to run free, and was so when he had left the house that morning, leading the psychiatrist to allege that she had locked it in a cage to prevent it from interfering with the killing of her children, one by one. Rusty got a family friend, George Barnum, to act as her attorney. Although the defense expert's testimony agreed that Yates was psychotic, Texas law requires that, in order to successfully assert the insanity defense, the defendant must prove that he or she could not discern right from wrong at the time of the crime. In March 2002, a jury rejected the insanity defense and found Andrea Yates guilty. Although the prosecution had sought the death penalty, the jury refused that option. The trial court sentenced her to life imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice with eligibility in 40 years. So, according to trial testimony in 2006, Dr. Saeed advised Rusty, who had been a former NASA engineer, not to leave Yates unattended. However, he began leaving her alone with the children in the weeks leading up to the drownings for short periods of time, apparently to improve her independence, which, if you are told by a psychiatrist not to do that, that's obviously not a good idea. He had announced at a family gathering the weekend before the drownings that he had decided to leave her home for an hour each morning and evening, so that she would not become totally dependent on him and his mother for her maternal responsibilities, which I understand in that he was trying to do good by her and he wanted to really help her by helping her become independent. But if you have a spouse who is suffering from a mental disability, then it's really not a good idea to leave them unattended. It's really just not. So, according to authors Susie Spencer and Suzanne O'Malley, who investigated the story of Andrea Yates in great detail, it was during a phone call Dr. Saeed made to Rusty during the breaking news of the killings that Saeed first learned that she was not being supervised full-time. Yates' first psychiatrist, Dr. Eileen Starbranch, says she was shocked to disbelief during an office visit with the couple. They expressed a desire to discontinue her medication so she could become pregnant again. She warned and counseled them against having more children and noted in the medical record, 2 days later, quote, apparently patient and husband plan to have as many babies as nature will allow. This will surely guarantee future psychotic depression. Nevertheless, Yates became pregnant with her 5th child, Mary, only 7 weeks after being discharged from Dr. Starbranch's care on January 12, 2000. Rusty stated to the media that he was never told by psychiatrists that his wife was psychotic, nor that she would harm the children. She could harm the children, and that, had he known otherwise, he would have never had more children. Quote, if I would have known she was psychotic, we would have never even considered having more kids, he told the Dallas Observer. However, she revealed to her prison psychiatrist, Dr. Melissa Ferguson, that prior to their last child, she told Rusty that she did not want to have sex because Dr. Starbranch had said she might hurt her children. Rusty, she said, simply asserted his procreative religious beliefs, complimented her as a good mother, and persuaded her that she could handle more children. O'Malley highlighted Rusty's continuing sense of unreality regarding having more children. During the trial, he successfully maintained the position that Yates would be found innocent. He had fantasies of having more children with her as she was successfully treated in mental health facilities and released on the proper medication. He worked his way through various fixes for their damaged lives, such as surrogate motherhood and adoption, which in turn horrified her family attorneys and Houston psychiatrist, before giving in to reality. So, in August 2004, Rusty filed for divorce, saying that he and Andrea had not lived together as a married couple since the day of the murders. The divorce was granted on March 17th, 2005, after which Rusty began dating his second wife, Laura Arnold. They married on March 25th, 2006. They had one son, and she filed for divorce in 2015. So as far as why Andrea Yates killed her children, besides the fact that she did suffer from mental illness, people have said that she could have had several religious influences that caused her to murder her 5 children. Media outlets alleged that Michael Warnecki, an itinerant preacher whom Rusty had met while attending Auburn University, bears some responsibility for the deaths due to his, quote, fire and brimstone message and certain teachings found in his newsletter, The Perilous Times, they had received on occasion and which was entered into evidence at the trial. In the aftermath of her 2006 retrial and insanity verdict, television journalist Chris Cuomo reported on ABC Primetime that, quote, Andrea Yates's delusions were fueled by the extreme religious beliefs of a bizarre, itinerant street preacher named Michael Warnecki. Both Rusty Yates and Michael Warnecki have rejected these accusations. Rusty said his family's relationship with the Wernickes was not that close, and that Wernicke did not cause her delusions. Wernicke maintained that his correspondence with them was with the intention of helping them strengthen their marriage and find the love that he says his own family found in Jesus. Both men agreed the alleged connection between his message and her mental state was, quote, nothing more than media-created fiction. While in prison, Yates stated she had considered killing her children for 2 years, adding that they thought she was not a good mother and claimed her sons were developing improperly. She told her jail psychiatrist, quote, it was the 7th deadly sin. My children weren't righteous, they stumbled because I was evil. The way I was raising them, they could never be saved. They were doomed to perish in the fires of hell, end quote. She told her jail psychiatrist that Satan influenced her children and made them more disobedient. So that is all of the information that I have relating to the case of Andrea Yates. Again, if you have any suggestions for any future cases for me to cover, just make sure you leave them in the comments down below. And I apologize if this was a bit of a shorter video. I live with other people and they are all out running errands. Oh, one is at work, one is running errands. And I think that one of them is going to be home in a few minutes. And I was like, maybe when I get back home from running my errands, I can film this video super fast before she gets home. So just so I don't run into her walking in and making noise, this is literally the only time that I could get a quiet house to film in, which is also important for you guys to know. I have a list of cases that I've been wanting to cover, and I have had a bunch of free time to film these cases, but as I said, I do not live alone, and the people I live with, unfortunately, get very loud, and the house that I live in, it's like the thinnest walls in the world. Like, you can hear every single step, every sneeze, every sniff, everything, so it is like nearly impossible for me to find quiet time to film the video unless I like filmed it at night. But when I've tried to film at night, I can't get good lighting, so yeah, that is why this video is going to be a little bit shorter today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support for this channel. It's absolutely crazy. Last time I checked, I think I have over 600 subscribers, which is just so insane. I did not think